Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be continuing our discussion on the elements of teaching and learning process. So we are done with the teacher, we are done with the learner, and the last element of the teaching and learning process is the learning environment. So the point of discussion today will be the learning environment. Okay, when we talk about the learning environment, what comes to your mind? Okay, anyone from the class? What comes to your mind when we talk about the learning environment? When you say learning environment, what does that mean? Anyone from the class?
Sir, it can be the school.
It's the school, okay? It's the school. The school is the learning environment. True. What about the others?
Sir. Sir,
Classroom.
classroom, sir.
Lara says classroom. Okay. Agnes, what are you saying? Or Ian would like to answer. Ian, what is your thoughts about the learning environment?
The conduciveness of classroom environment, sir.
Okay, the conduciveness of the classroom environment. All right. So you have been telling me about the classroom environment, the school, the classroom, and I noticed that these are actually a physical learning environment. Those that you could go to, you could see the physical environment. That's a classroom environment. But do you think that a classroom environment or a learning environment, such as those that you have mentioned, would be physically inexistent in the next years to come? Like, for example, is it possible that learners will not go anymore, or is it possible for a school-less learning? Okay, will that be possible that we have a school-less learning?
Yes, sir, it is possible.
How do you say so, Catherine?
Like what we have now, that we have a virtual classes, and when you say learning environment, it's not only about the school, but the place where the student can learn.
All right, okay. So it's an environment. I like what Catherine have mentioned. It's an environment where students can learn. So whether it is physical, whether it is virtual, it's still considered as a learning environment. Well, as school-less, okay, let me talk about this. As school-less, a classroom is different from a school. So think about that, okay?
Yes, sir.
A classroom is different from a school. A classroom is a physical structure or a building where the teacher and the learner does the classroom instructions, or do the classroom transactions. Okay, most of the classroom transactions are made in the classroom. But the school, ladies and gentlemen, is a very general term referring to an environment, okay, where teachers work. Okay, it's like the office space of teachers. So if we think about it, a school can also be a physical building. But same as a classroom, a school can also exist virtually. Okay? Even if there is no building or there is no structure, as long as there is an existing organization of teachers that work together, okay, and um follows the guidelines provided by the state, it could be a school. But that needs a paradigm shift, ladies and gentlemen, ha? Kasi sa ngayon, hindi pa posible yung sinasabi nating schoolless. Okay? Bakit? Kasi nga, ang ating estado ay may mga panuntunan, okay? And they have guidelines to follow in order for us to say that the school is a school. Okay? That a university is a university. For example, hindi lang classroom ang tinitignan dyan. Okay? And bukod sa classroom, what does a school need? Pangalawa, dapat may library. Diba? Pangatlo, may laboratory. Okay? Pang-apat, merong sports facilities. So, panglima, marami pa, no? Bukod dun sa mga yun. In other words, people, a school does not only require or does not only necessitate the building of classrooms, but there are so many environments, there are so many requirements or buildings like the library, laboratories that needs to be there in order to say that a school is a school. Okay? So for now, no, hindi pa natin nakikitaan ng posibilidad na magkaroon tayo ng school-less environment. Pero in the near future, perhaps, no? Perhaps we could do all things virtually. Okay? We could do all things virtually. Although you might argue with me, sir, pwede naman ngayon nga sa medicine field, virtual na lang, talagang study at home sila. Pero hindi. They do not meet the competencies required of them just there learning at home. Kaya nga ang CHED, di ba, binigyan tayo ng provisionary authority para mag-conduct ng face-to-face classes sa mga health-related courses. The fact that they gave provisionary authority because they recognize that not all things, not all competencies can be learned or can be acquired at home. Okay? So my point here, people, is that a classroom environment or a learning environment in general goes beyond it goes beyond the building itself. Okay? You know, for example, the way you feel about your teacher is an element of the learning environment, right? Sa ngayon, for example, in your classes in FL Vargas, no, do you have like varied feelings towards the environment that you are into as regards the varied professors that you have right now? Do you have that kind of feeling? Like, for example, ang teacher ko ngayon si Sir Brian, ganito ang feeling mo. Ang teacher ko ngayon si Sir ganito, ganito ang feeling mo. Do you have those kind of state of mind?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, John Kenneth, is this John Kenneth? Yes, what do you think? May I know, how do you feel when you are in my class? Kasi Catherine na lang, Catherine. I think John has a problem. Catherine?
It's quite interesting, sir, because with your classes or we learn new social platforms like the quiz, and it's like exciting because it's not you tackled about not only what we must have to learn, but also the qualities of being a good teacher and you being an example of what you are teaching.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, do you have a teacher, or are you attending a class where you feel scared? Don't mention about the teacher, but are you attending a class where you feel uncomfortable or, a little bit nervous, mga ganung bagay? Meron ba kayong mga classroom classes na ganun?
Sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Joyce Ann, you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, sir, sometimes. Because we all know naman, sir, that there are terrors teacher.
Sa Vargas, meron?
Today, sir. Yes, we have,
Ay,
sir.
meron. I know. Okay. And how does that affect you as a student? How does that affect you as a student?
For me, sir, as a student, being a terror teacher, I think that is not an effective teacher, sir, because one of the qualities of being a effective teacher, sir, is a being
Light lang, ganon. Have a good relationship.
Yes, sir, being compassionate, parang ganun, sir.
Okay.
And
Okay, that's
so,
true.
yes, sir, and so for students, sir, for example, if you embarrass a student, so they fail to accomplish a task or they fail to answer a question. So for me, instead of embarrassing that student, you must inspire them. You might inspire them and motivate them so that she or he can able to, for example, able to participate in a
Yes.
class and
Tama.
yes,
Tama
sir.
yun.
So you're actually taking out that taking his or her confidence, sir.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, that your answer is deeply rooted from experience. So siguro may experience kang mga ganyan, no? Alam nyo, tama. Your observations are very valid. Tama yung mga sinasabi nyo. You know why? You know what? The learning environment, sabi ko nga kanina, goes beyond the physical classroom. Goes beyond the furnitures. It goes beyond the electric fan, the ventilation, the lighting. It goes beyond that. The way the learner feel inside the classroom is a classroom environment for a while. For a while. Okay, now. Okay, where am I? So it goes beyond the learning environment, the classroom environment, the physical classroom. No? We call that the classroom atmosphere or the climate of the classroom. Okay, the way the student feel inside the class is also a very important part of the curriculum, diba? If you learn this in curriculum development, we call that hidden curriculum. It's unintended, okay? It's subliminal. It's implicit. Okay, it's implicit. You don't see it. Okay, you don't see it, but it's there. Okay, you don't touch it. You don't physically know that it's there, but it's there. No? At isa yan sa napakalaking factor kung paano at anong degree ng learning meron ng mga bata. You might say, feelings lang yan, emotions lang yan, pero hindi eh. The way the learners feel of your classroom during your classes impacts their own learning. Okay? Sabi nga ni kanina, no, ni sino na yung natanong si Catherine ba yun? No, it's not Catherine. Sino ba yun, guys? I forgot.
Si Joyce, sir.
Joy, sabi niya, no, yung natatakot siya pagka nawawalan yung confidence niya, that's that thing, okay? Ano yun? That's an effect, that's a big effect, no, of the classroom environment to the learner, okay? So today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk about the classroom environment. But be guided. Kapag sinabi ng classroom environment, this does not only refer to the physical classroom, but we're also talking about the environment beyond that, the classroom climate, the classroom atmosphere, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll be sharing a PowerPoint to you, and natin kung anong matututunan natin ngayong umaga. Yes, I have like 20 slides. Okay. You look at this, no? The learning environment, okay? Sabi dito, to heredity, the child owes his possibilities. However, to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities. But this is a very good quotation. It's a very good quotation that every teacher should be reminded of, okay? Every teacher should be reminded that our learners have their unique capacities. They have unique learning abilities. And that is possible because they have, perhaps one of the reasons is that they owed that from their genes. Okay, so they to heredity. Okay, the child owes his possibilities because some learners are born good musically inclined, diba? Some learners are born good in math, good in science. Their right brain works dominantly than the other. They're born such as that. However, going to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities. Diba? What is this? What does this mean? Does this mean? I want to know your opinion about to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities. Any idea? Ian, do you have something in mind? What does that mean when to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities? Anyone from the class? I'll call her. Oh, Sheila Ann. Sheila Ann, what do you think? O John Paul? Sumagot kayo hindi ko naman kayo kakainin.
Sir, will repeat the question, sir.
What do you think about this quote? What does it mean when you say to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities? Any idea?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Wag mo lang i-Google, wala sa Google yan.
Yes, sir. Nag-iisip lang ako ng ano, sir. Pwedeng sabihin.
Oh, sige. While John Paul is thinking, who wants to answer my question?
Um, I think, sir, for me, learning environment is, example, refers to the diverse or physical locations, context, and cultures in which students learn.
Oo nga, that's the learning environment. Pero anong ibig sabihin no? He owes the realization of these possibilities. Ayusin mo yung pinag-anuhan niya dun. May mga marks pa. Baka anuhin niya. Diyan sa labas lang. Sa labas siya nag-times. Yan, dito somewhere there. John Paul. Yung gusto sumagot. Plus 5.
It's
John Paul, nung bata ka, anong gusto mong gawin nung bata ka? Go back in time, okay? When you were a kid, what do you want to do?
playing, sir. Madami, sir.
Ano?
Sir.
Give me one. Playing
basketball, internet surfing, ganun, sir.
surfing. Okay, let's talk about playing basketball and surfing. You want to surf. Do you know how to surf now?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why do you know how to surf now?
Sir, internet surfing,
Internet
sir.
surfing. I thought water surfing. Okay. Why do you know how to use the internet now? How old are you when you first encountered the internet?
Grade 6, sir.
Grade 6. Do you have a computer at home?
Yes, sir.
Why you know how to use the internet, right?
When I was in preschool, sir, I have a PC na, sir.
Okay, so when you were in preschool, you have a PC already. But your
Yes,
other
sir.
classmates does not have, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do they know or do they want also to learn computer? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, but
But ano pa?
we don't have a PC, like other
Okay.
gadgets
So
to
did they
use.
know or did they learn about the computer if they did not have a PC?
No, no, sir.
And you know or you want to know how to use the computer, and you did because you have a PC, right?
Yes, yes. And curiosity, sir.
Yes.
Also.
And your curiosity was reinforced because may PC ka na, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Now, ano ang implication niyan nung situation mo dun sa sinasabi natin na he owes the realization of these possibilities? Oh, anyone from the class who have insight no dun sa sinasabi natin kanina?
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Oh, Calvin. Yes, Calvin.
Yung sa akin lang po, sir, yung pagkaintindi ko po dyan is lahat ng gusto natin, yung meron tayong possibilities about doon dahil
Yes.
nga po doon sa genes na nakuha natin sa parents or sa mga last generations po. Pero
Okay.
napakahalaga po ng learning environment para ma-develop po yung mga yon. Kasi kahit meron po tayong genes, masasabi natin meron tayong genes about doon, pero wala naman po yung mga support, guidance,
Yeah.
para ma-develop po yung mga gusto nating or those things we want to be, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Pero
useless, right?
yes po, ganun po. Meron pong possibilities pero nakakatulong po yung environment para dun sa
Okay.
mga possibilities na yun po, sir.
Okay, ikaw, Calvin J, ikaw nga, tanungin kita. Was there a time when you were in a kid na you want this, you want to know about this, but it was not possible?
Yes, sir.
Ano yun?
Mga bagay po na gusto ko pero hindi po ma-provide ng mga parents, ganun po.
Oh,
Like,
that's
for
right.
example, mga
That's right.
kwan po,
Anong example nun?
mga ano po, yung laruan po, for example, ganun po.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
Pero
That is true.
gusto mong matutunan na gamitin po yon pero
Oo.
wala po yung
Wala
gamit
yung
po.
okay, wala yung gamit. Let's put it in a
Apa.
larger perspective. You want to learn about this, but there is no environment, diba?
Yes
The
po,
right
sir.
environment was not provided to you. That's why you were not able to learn about these things. That is true. Ito yung sinasabi natin na to environment, he owes the realization of these possibilities. We can dream all we want. Okay? We want to learn how to ride an airplane, how to operate an airplane, how to surf in the ocean. We want to do those things. We can dream all we want. But the problem is, does our environment warrants us to make those possibilities into realities? Yun yung sinasabi natin na in the classroom environment, okay, in the learning environment, it must be a reinforcing environment. Okay? Pero ang daming factors na nagpe-play around na naman dyan eh. Okay? At tulad ng sinabi ni John Paul kanina, yung example niya na about the computer. He wants to learn about the computer. But, okay, yung classmate niya gusto ring matuto. Pero wala silang computer. Natuto ba sila? Hindi. Kasi nga, the learning environment was not there for them. The right learning environment was not there for them. And so therefore, hindi sila natuto ng computer at that age. But John Paul, on the other hand, wants to know about the computer. That's a possibility, and it became a reality. Why? Because the learning environment was there. Okay? You see now the importance of the learning environment? And the learning environment is not just a classroom. It's not just the furnitures. It's not just the computer or the table at the front or the blackboard or the chalkboard. Okay? There are certain materials, learning materials, that is required or that is needed, okay, for a certain competency to be learned. Yun yung sinasabi natin na we owe the realization of these possibilities to the learning environment. Okay, to the learning environment. You know, I am a firm believer that everybody can be successful. Everybody can be cum laude, magna cum laude. Everybody can learn or can excel in their field, provided that they have the right learning environment. That's always what I believe in. Lahat ng bata, mahirap man yan, mayaman man yan, pwedeng matuto yan. Pwedeng maging excellent yan. Pero kailangan nasa tamang learning environment sila. Okay? Nasa tamang learning environment sila. Diba? You know, you could relate to this. For example, yung iba sa atin, yung mga mga kaklase natin nung high school o nung elementary, may mga pasaway, di ba? May mga pasaway, may mga basagulero, di ba? Pero, parang merong one point in time na sinasabi natin, ay, matalino pala siya. O, ano yung mga instances na sinasabi natin, ay, magaling pala itong taong ito, matalino pala itong taong ito. You know, I realized that when I was in high school, may kaklase ako na sobrang basagulero, pasaway talaga. But when he is in a team, okay, when he is in a group of people, okay, na kaibigan niya, mga ganun, okay, at interesado siya sa pinag-aaralan niya, magaling siya. Okay? Gumagaling siya. Okay? So, yun yung sinasabi natin, yung impact ng learning environment. It's beyond the classroom. No? It's beyond the physical things that we see in the classroom. Right? So, this is the importance of it. That's the impact of the learning environment. And as a teacher, we must realize that. Okay? We must realize that beyond what we know about our teaching, our content, our strategy, is how we can set up a learning environment right for our students. Okay, right for our students. Okay. Now, so the learning environment, people, the learning environment, spin my video. The learning environment is the place where teaching and learning can take place in the most effective and productive manner. Okay? It consists of the classroom and all the instructional features and the non-threatening classroom climate needed in planning and in implementing all teaching and learning activities. This is what I have been mentioning to you. Okay? It is where the learning takes place. It consists of the classroom and include instructional features and the non-threatening classroom climate. Okay, non-threatening classroom climate needed in planning, implementing all teaching and learning activities. So, what is a conducive classroom? What is the quality of a conducive classroom? So, my dear friends, a good classroom is conducive to teaching and learning process because, letter A, its activities are well organized. Okay, hindi magulo. Alam ng bata kung ano yung gagawin niya for that particular day. Alam niya yung mga activities na dapat gawin niya, na dapat tapusin niya. Okay? It's well organized. We'll talk about later how can we establish an effective management of the classroom. Okay? How can we establish an effective classroom management? And what qualities of a teacher should we avoid in order for us to establish a classroom, an effective classroom management? Okay? So its activities are well organized. May mga teachers tayo na I'm sorry if I'm giving you examples na negative dun sa sa sinasabi natin dito. Kasi the only way that we could realize that it is a mistake is when I tell you that what you're doing is a mistake. Okay? Kasi kung good example ito, baka makalimutan lang natin. Di ba? I would like to believe na ang mas natatandaan natin ay yung mga pagkakamali kaysa sa mga magandang nagagawa natin. Okay? O yung tamang nagagawa natin. Is that right? I'm not sure. That's just my personal opinion, but I would think, no, I would like to think that we can remember more of the things that has happened to us, not along our favor, not with our favor, but against the odds. Okay. So, for example, may mga teachers tayo ng high school or elementary or even in college na na ang mahirap nating maintindihan yung sinasabi niya. O kaya yung instructions niya magulo, hindi fixed, okay? Hindi organized yung mga sinasabi niya. One thing like that. Or one thing about the activity should be well organized. May nagdi-discuss siya ngayon, mamaya may activity, tapos magdi-discuss na naman, mga ganun. So walang plano, no? Walang design yung instruction niya. Okay. Letter B, there is mutual sharing of responsibility in establishing and maintaining a state of order and democratic living. In the 21st century learning environment, although we have learned that there are 3 types of teacher according to their teaching styles. We have laissez-faire teachers, we have democratic teaching styles, we have autocratic teaching styles. But in the 21st century learning environment, what has been advocated, okay, as a suitable teaching style is democratic. Okay? When we say democratic, we give a certain degree of freedom to our learners, a certain degree of choice to our learners. Okay? Hindi yung free sila talaga na lahat ng rules, ng policies, sila ang gagawa. Sila ang pipili. No, it's not like that. Democracy means there is a certain degree of autonomy of the teacher as well as there is a certain degree of responsibility or choice or freedom of the learners. Like for example, one day you say about your classroom routines. There are negotiations about the classroom routines. Okay? Sinabi mo, bawal lumabas pag nagkaklase ako. Pero sabi nilang nung isa may nagpropose, ma'am, pwede bang bigyan niyo kami ng one time, big time na lumabas habang nagkaklase ka? And then you said yes. That's a practice of democracy. Why? Because you're giving a certain degree of choice to your learners. Okay? So in the 21st century learning environment, what is advocated right now is that we give our students choices. We allow them to make their own choices. But those are guided choices. Hindi lang siya free choices, pero those are guided choices. Who guides them? Of course, the teachers. Okay? Now, letter C, pleasant and hygienic conditions prevail. Okay? So, syempre, maganda naman yung lighting ng classroom mo. Maganda naman yung ventilation ng classroom mo. Hindi maingay yung classroom mo. Okay? So, it should be pleasant and it should be hygienic. Malinis. Okay? Yung mga classrooms natin no elementary, may mga, yung iba lang, I'm not generalizing, but in my classroom noon, sa Anafunan Elementary School, bawat classroom, merong mga CRs. Meron ding health corner. Okay? Meron ding health corner. Para pag mag-CR yung bata, doon na lang sa tabi doon sa mismong school na mismo, sa classroom na mismo, hindi na siya lalabas para mag-CR. In that way, we could avoid classroom misbehavior. Okay? Kasi pag lalabas yung bata, wala kang control over the child. Kaya, yun nga, yung ginagawa ng mga high school students, kunwari, iihi lang, ganun, pero magkakating na pala, pagkakating classes na, hindi na magtutuloy dun sa klase, mga ganung bagay. Okay? Well, bakit ganun ang setup ng elementary at high school? Bakit sa elementary classrooms, nasa loob ang CR? Pag high school, nasa labas. Kasi nga, the assumption is, mas matured na yung mga high school learners natin. Okay? They know what is right and they know what is wrong. But for elementary pupils, we still need to teach them, okay, what is the right behavior and what is the wrong behavior. Okay? So, let's talk about pleasant and hygienic conditions further. Do you learn or can you learn in a classroom na mainit? Can you learn in a classroom na madilim? Di ba? Dati nung high school, nag-aagawan pa tayo ng electric fan. Itutok mo dito yan, ako nag-donate yan, mama ko nag-donate yan, mga ganong bagay. Okay? Kasi nga, may mga, hindi natin maiiwasan sa public schools, may mga kakulangan tayo in terms of the physical setup of the classroom. Mga sira-sirang upuan, mga kulang-kulang na upuan, di ba? I can remember when I was in college. In CSU pa to, when I was in college. Pag nalilate ka na sa classroom, wala ka ng upuan. Maghanap ka sa buong building ng upuan mo. Tapos dadalhin, bubuhatin mo. Pag may prof na dun sa classroom, sir, excuse me, sir, can I have that chair? And then you get that chair. And then, buhatin mo na. Sino nakaka-relate dito? Yung mga CSU1s dito nakaka-relate yan. Buhatin mo na yung chair, punta dun ka sa classroom mo. Pag wala kang mahanap na na chair, bahala kang humanap ng paraan kung paano ka makakaupo. So, yun, isa yun, no? O paano pag na-late ka, tapos nagpa-quiz si teacher, wala kang upuan, paano na yung learning mo? Di ba, you will feel disgusted and disappointed about it, right? Okay, so that's it, no? Pleasant and hygienic conditions. Okay, it's easier said than done. Hindi natin mape-perfect ito kasi hindi naman perfecto at mapakalaki ng budget ng DepEd. Yung iba nga, yung classroom na doon sa far-flung areas, sa mga bundok, hindi talaga sementado yung hindi concrete yung mga classrooms, but they were made of light materials. Okay, so this is easier said than done. May mga factors na nag-play around this. But in as much as we have that we recognize, okay, the teachers should or the school administrator should provide pleasant and hygienic conditions for our learners. Okay, so these are the elements of a good or a conducive classroom. Now, the classroom environment encompasses 4 factors. Merong physical environment, merong intellectual climate, merong social climate, and then merong emotional climate. Okay? Kita niyo sa picture na to yung typical setup ng high school classroom, di ba? Ganyan yung typical setup niyan. Noon pa man hanggang ngayon, ganyan pa rin na setup niyan. Tama? May pagbabago ba noong pa man 50 years ago, 30 years ago, ganyan na ganyan yung setup. Upuan sa likod, nakahilera, tapos may table sa harap, tapos may chalkboard. You know, in other countries, hindi na ganyan. Okay? We've been talking about 21st century environment. We've been talking about paradigm shift in teaching. But have we really changed? Or have we really changed? The fact na ganito pa rin na nakikita natin sa ating mga classrooms, masasabi natin minimal ang pagbabago. Kasi alam niyo yung ganyang setup, may ibig sabihin yan. Okay? Yung nakikita niyong table sa harap, it connotes autonomy or authority of the teacher. Okay? It connotes authority of the teacher. It symbolizes the authority of the teacher. May table sa harap. Okay? Sa elementary, may table pa yan sa likod. Diba? Yung table ni advisor nasa likod. It connotes the autonomy of the teacher. That I am the teacher, you are my students. Okay? And then yung mga upuan yan na nakahilera, individual, okay? Nandito ka, nakaupo ka, that means na, okay, ikaw lang nandyan. Okay? You have to follow the teacher. You have to listen to the teacher. Huwag kang makikipag-usap sa katabi mo kasi may sarili kang upuan. Okay? And then yung chalkboard yan, ibig sabihin nun, yan yung main learning material na kailangan nyo. You have to look at the chalkboard. Okay? Pero sa ibang bansa, hindi. You know, in Singapore, for example, ang classroom nila doon, hindi set up na ganyan. Ang classroom nila, collaborative ang setup. Tables na round tables. Okay? Round tables. Tapos nakaupo sila doon. Okay? Maraming round tables and then the learners facing each other. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ang ibig sabihin nun, the environment allows for collaboration and cooperation between and among the class, the learners. Okay? Na pwede silang makipag-usap, kung meron silang gustong sabihin, pwede lang. Kasi nga, yun yung environment nila eh. And the environment allows them to do that. At si teacher, walang table sa harap. Ang meron sa harap, platform. Okay? Platform. Andiyan si teacher nagtuturo. May blackboard pa rin. Pero meron silang mga IEC materials. May mga ICT materials sila. Okay? Andun na yung TV, andun na yung smart TV. Tapos yung table nila na sinasabi ko, no, merong screen sa gitna. Okay? Touch screen. Para pag may group activity si teacher, doon na lang sila mag-group activity din. Automatic na mapupunta na doon sa server nila sa classroom. Diba? Ang gandang-gandang gawin, no? Ang gandang-gandang gawin yung mga ngayon. Mga ganun. Ang gandang i-vision. Pero sa Pilipinas, may mga classrooms pero private schools no like LaSalle, Ateneo, Benilde for example. Pero in public schools madalang nating makita yung mga ganyang setup. Ganitong setup pa rin yung sinasabi natin. Yung nakikita natin sa mga high school learning environments. Okay? So, I just want to point out na ang classroom environment, hindi nga lang ito yung physical environment. Kasama dito yung intellectual climate. Mamaya i-discuss natin ano itong mga ito. Kasama dyan yung social climate. Kasama yung emotional climate. Okay? Now, let's watch this video. Okay? I-allow ko lang yung sound ha. Para marinig niyo. Okay. This video actually will tell us about the differences, okay, ng mga classroom setup. Talking about classroom environment now and the physical environment. Diba? Every sa elementary, lalo na sa elementary, minsan si teacher nagbabago siya ng mga setup ng chairs. Minsan yung traditional na block style, meron din yung pa-V, meron din yung payu, pwede yung isa dito, tapos dalawa pala dito, tapos pag ganun din horseshoe, or pwede ring circular, di ba? May ganyang setup, no? Ano kaya ang ibig sabihin nito? Anong implications ito sa pagtuturo ni teacher? Anong klaseng teacher siya pag ganun yung mga setup niya? Let's watch this.
Today, we're going to talk about seating arrangements, as they can help or hinder student learning. There are three types of seating arrangements: traditional rows, U-shape, cluster or grouping. Now, the educator needs to decide which seating style to use. Let's look at the top three pros and cons of each style. Traditional rows. This is the most commonly used seating arrangement in the world. The pros of traditional rows are: it's good for teacher-centered classes such as lectures. It encourages focus on the educator and content, and it's easy to implement with large classes. However, the cons can be: students can easily become disengaged during the lesson, not good for classes designed for conversation and interaction, and not easy to observe students in the mid to back rows. U-shaped seating, for classes that want more interaction between the student and educator. The pros to U-shaped seating are: encourages discussion and interaction, easy to observe students and provide one-on-one help if needed, and helps control some students with behavioral problems. The cons are: shy students may feel anxiety being part of one large group. It cannot be used with all ages to control behavior. And classroom size and number of students can make it difficult to use. Cluster seating. This allows students the chance to learn cooperatively. The pros are: the small group creates a safe area for students to interact. Shared knowledge on group work increases individual knowledge. And the educator can easily assess students or monitor student work. The cons can be: some students may only copy work and are not engaged in learning. Also, it's easy for students to talk to each other and not listen to the educator. And placing students in groups doesn't mean they will work as a group. We have much more to say about seating arrangements, so come on over to TESOLclass.com and find out more today.
Alright, so have you watched that? Diba? May pagkakaiba, no? Yung U-shape, yung cluster group, tsaka yung traditional rows, diba? Makikita natin na yung mga seating arrangement natin, it actually encourages certain classroom behavior, okay? Among the teacher, between the teacher, and of course the learners. Kayo, no? When you were in high school or elementary, what seating arrangement is your favorite? What is your favorite seating arrangement when you were in high school? Anyone from the class? From the memories you had, what seating arrangement is your favorite?
Alphabetical.
Sino yung sumasagot? Sige. Hello? Sino yun?
Ako, sir. Joyce.
Pangalan?
Joyce, sir.
Okay, Joyce. Ano yung sinasabi mo kanina?
Alphabetically arranged, sir.
Bakit? Bakit yun ang gusto mo?
Kasi po sir, pag alphabetically arranged po is mas organized. And since letter A po ako, so lagi po akong nasa harap. And mas ano ko pa, na-absorb ko po yung mga...
Kasi nasa harap ka.
Yes po.
Pero may mga kaklase ka sa harap na ayaw nila sa harap, di ba?
Yes. Kasi takot sila sa...
Takot sila sa teacher o teacher-centered. Okay, thank you, Joy. Sino yung iba pa? How about the others? Yung iba mag-share. May grade to may participation kayo sa klase.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Ako, sir, ano lang, yung traditional lang, sir, kasi since elementary hanggang college, never ko naman pong na-experience yung U-shape, tsaka yung group, ano tawag doon, yung group seating arrangement, sir.
Cluster.
Yes, sir.
Bakit? So, gusto mo yung traditional pa rin?
Yes, sir. Kasi ano, sir, para sa akin, sir, kasi malapit, I mean, kahit na ano siya, karo ko lang or kakalam ko lang. Sir, kasi minsan madaldal ako. Nakakausap ko sila, sir.
Para-paraan na lang.
Yes, sir.
Pero pag ikaw naging teacher, anong gusto mo? Ganun pa rin ba? Traditional?
Pwede, sir, pero open din po ako sa other seating arrangements since meron din pa pong cons yung traditional and meron po akong nakikitang cons sa other seating arrangements, sir, na pwede kong gamitin, sir.
See. Okay. You see, kung alam nyo, yung personality ni teacher, makikita mo kung paano niya i-arrange yung classroom niya, yung seating arrangement. Okay? Pag traditional pa rin yan, teacher-centered si teacher. Okay? Gusto niya nakikinig yung mga estudyante sa kanya. Okay? Traditional lecture, makikinig, tapos nakafocus lang siya. Pero pag U-shape si teacher, progressive yan. Okay? Ibig sabihin, she wants to elicit responses from the learners. Gusto niya may interaction. Okay? Pag cluster naman, constructivist yan. Okay? Gusto niya may group activity, mga ganun. Palaging may group activity, palaging merong dapat gawin dun sa klase. So, it's a student-centered environment. Okay? Yung traditional classroom setup kasi, it connotes traditional environment. It connotes teacher-centeredness. Pero yung cluster at saka yung U-shape, it connotes student-centered, okay, learning environment. Now, I suggest when you become teachers, you use varied type of seating arrangement. Hindi lang yung traditional, okay? Okay, sa month na to, ganito dapat. Okay, sa activity na to, ganito dapat. Magpa-group ka, magpa-cluster ka. Sa ganitong araw, ipa-U-shape mo. Depende yan kung anong content ang ano mo, ituturo mo. Okay, kasi those, yun nga, sinabi dito, the seating arrangement could give a different feeling to our students. Okay, to our students. I'm about to say something, but I forgot about what I have to say to you. Pag siguro akong teacher yun ng high school, most of the time, ang ma-encounter nyo sa akin ay cluster. Okay, cluster seating arrangement, cluster type seating arrangement. When I was a practice teacher, or when I taught at Tuguegarao City Science High School, I always design our lesson in a way that our students or my students would do something. And they would figure out the lesson. Okay? Hindi ako yung magtuturo sa kanila. They will be the one na ma-learn or matututo kung ano dapat ang matutunan. Okay? Kung ano dapat yung kailangan nilang matutunan. Okay? But after that, syempre, I should rationalize the lesson. But at the onset, at the beginning, they should be the first people, okay? Or they should be themselves that should open up, okay? That would explore or realize what the lesson is. Okay, so those are the seating arrangements. Now, so in the physical environment, there are many factors that we need to consider as teachers. One, yung arrangement ng furnitures natin. You could see in the pictures below. Ito, this is an example of a cluster. Wala pa tayo nakikitang classroom na ganito sa Pilipinas. I mean, meron, pero hindi madalas. So the furniture like the table for demonstration located in front of the room and the chairs facing it are neatly arranged with sufficient spaces in between for ease in moving around. So display shelves for safekeeping of projects, collections, and outstanding work are located at the sides. Okay? Yung mga shelves sa gilid, makikita natin yan sa mga elementary classrooms. May mga ganyan, okay? When I was in grade 6, I remember my classroom when I was in grade 6. It's just yun siguro yung pinakamagandang classroom na meron ako nung elementary. May mga shelves sa gilid, may health corner, tapos may CR, malinis. Sa preschool, mga ganyan din. Most of the time, dapat nasa gilid sila. And then the learning space nasa gitna, okay? The learning space ay nasa gitna. So arrangement, again, on the arrangement of furniture, attached to the wall is the bulletin board, for hanging posters, announcements, and illustrations about the unit being undertaken. During discussions, the board in front is used for clarifying step-by-step procedures and making clearer diagrams, illustrations, and figures. On how to make the bulletin boards, pag-aaralan nyo sana ito sa educational technology. But sad to say, wala kayong subject na educational technology. So, ang traditional setup ay yung mga upuan nasa gitna, tapos yung table nasa harap, classroom shelves nasa gilid, tapos may mga bulletin boards sa wall. Okay? Nasa wall. Okay. The teaching devices like globes, maps, and charts are kept in nearby cabinets together with simple tools and materials. So a temporary table is placed on the right side where supplies, materials, and handheld instruments are arranged ready for the day's lesson. So yung mga ganitong tipo ng classroom lalo na sa elementary ito. Pero sa high school, nababawasan yung mga nakikita natin, di ba? Bakit kaya nababawasan? Pag-aaralan nyo yan sa next topic natin, no? The learning principles. No? Bakit kaya pag high school, nababawasan yung nakikita mo sa classroom? Pero sa elementary, punong-puno ng materials yung classroom mo. Pagdating sa high school, nababawasan. Pagdating ng college, wala ka nang makita. Di ba? Bakit kaya ganoon? Well, you will learn that on our next topic on the different learning principles and learning theories. Okay? There you will also learn what learning is, how learning happens, things like those. Okay? All right, so yun. Now, the physical condition of the classroom. So as soon as the students enter, they are attracted by a clean and orderly setup. So natural light and flowing fresh air add to their comfort and ease. Free from noise coming from the surroundings, students' concentration and interest are easily sustained. The doors and windows could be opened and closed with less difficulty and noise. The light fixtures are located where needed. Well, this is self-explanatory naman. Kahit sino ka man, alam mo dapat na yung classroom ay dapat may ventilation. Meron ding lighting. Kasi who could study in a very hot classroom? Who could study in a very dark classroom? So we must take note of those things. Not only lighting and ventilation, yung amoy din ng classroom mo. Dapat naman amoy school. Yung bang pag naamoy nila they are focused on what they are doing. Pero sa public schools ay pagkatabi ng CR yung classroom mo, nako, madidistract ang mga estudyante mo. Pagkatabi ng gym, ay nako, madidistract ang mga estudyante mo kasi napakaingay nga ng mga activities sa gym. Pag narinig nila, wala na. Okay, hindi na sila nakafocus sa ginagawa nila. So, you have to make a way, okay? You have to make a certain strategy for them, no, to experience an environment free from noise, free from foul odor, hindi naman malamig, pero right ventilation at saka right lighting. Kaya pag kayo magtataka, yung mga teachers natin, kung tag-pass by ka lang, maingay ka sa corridor, bigla ka nilang pagsasabihan, hey, what are you doing? Mga ganun bagay. Go out. Okay? Or maybe, ginagawa nyo, may klase kayo mga ganun bagay. Kasi nga, the teachers know that the learning environment is crucial for the learning of their students. Okay? So you have to always remember about that. Okay, now, interactions are as well part of the learning environment. Okay? So a diverse situation may exist in the classroom at any given time. So students differ in abilities and interests while teachers likely employ different strategies. So teachers must be sensitive to positive or negative interactions and must immediately undertake an instant revision or adjustment in the methodology when necessary. The primary goal is to be able to motivate them to work harmoniously, thereafter inculcate the values of cooperation and congeniality. Now, just review my slides. I think I missed out the definitions of the 4 elements of the classroom and learning environment. But anyway, when we talk about interactions, this is the way you react from your learners and the way your learners react from you. Okay? So it says here that teachers must be sensitive to positive or negative interactions. And when you are able to encounter negative interactions, you must at all costs react on that. You must do something to change that, to revise that. Okay, say may sinabi ka, may tinanong ka, and then your students would say, Sir, hindi ko alam, mga ganun. Or Sir, paano ko malalaman yan? Hindi ko nga natutunan. Mga ganun bagay. Those are negative interactions. So you have to make something to change that, to revise that kind of interaction. Okay? Now, let's go back to what I've been mentioning about the classroom environment, the factors that encompasses the classroom environment. Now, yung physical environment, ito yung classroom mismo, yung furnitures mismo. Yung sinasabi nating intellectual climate, ito yung the kind of discourse, okay, na meron sa classroom mo. How your students react to your questions, how they ask questions to you, mga ganon. Intellectual climate yun, how they learn inside the classroom, okay? Let me give you a concrete example. Now, if the learners can freely ask questions to you, there is a very good intellectual climate because they feel comfortable about asking questions to you. But if they are afraid or scared of asking questions to you, hindi yun magandang intellectual climate. It does not allow free discourse between the teacher and the learner. Dapat merong intellectual climate. There must be a comforting intellectual climate, a nurturing and fostering intellectual climate. Minsan kasi mga teachers, pag nagtatanong yung estudyante, feel nila nababawasan yung integrity nila as a teacher. Mali yun, mali. Okay? If you are a teacher, allow them to ask questions. Okay? Allow them to ask questions. Allow them to suggest something. Allow them to present something. Like, for example, hindi question, like, ma'am, can I add something of what you have mentioned? For example, allow them to do that. Okay? That's a free intellectual climate. Yung social climate naman, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina about the relationship between the teacher and the learner. Autocratic means teacher-centered. Lahat ng instructions nagmumula kay teacher. Andun sa module nyo yan, basahin nyo yan, andun lahat sa module nyo yan. So, autocratic means, lahat ng instructions ay emanated from the teacher. Kung anong gagawin, kung anong matutunan, kung paano gawin yung activity, mga ganun bagay. Pag democratic, there's a certain degree of freedom between the teacher and the learner. Okay? Now, na-explain ko na yan kanina. Ang LICEFWA, ito yung free talaga. Okay? Kung anong gustong gawin ng bata, yun na yun. Okay? Let them do what they want. Okay? I will let you watch a movie that would demonstrate yung sinasabi nating LICEFWA teaching environment. Pero in reality, no, masyadong idealistic ang LICEFWA. Hindi pa siya natin makikitaan ng possibilities sa Pilipinas na pwedeng gawin ang LICEFWA the teaching style or social climate, okay, throughout the year. Pero kung one day lang, pwede. Pero kung throughout the year, naku, mahirap yan. Okay? And then emotional climate naman, yun nga, yung sinasabi ni Joyce kanina about how do they feel about the classroom. Okay? Kung takot ba sila, kung confident ba sila pag andun sila sa classroom, kung nasasad ba sila. Those are the inclusions in the emotional climate. If you want to know more about these 4 factors of the classroom environment, you could read the module that I have sent to you, uploaded about the learning environment. And doing an explanation about the physical environment, the intellectual climate, the social climate, and the emotional climate. Now, let's go back to the learning environment. Okay, now, sabi ko kanina, it is crucial, okay, that teachers know what a facilitative learning environment is. Okay? Bukod dun sa conducive learning environment, meron din tayong tinatawag na facilitative learning environment. So what is a facilitative learning environment? Now, according to Fine and Horn in 1990, they describe the learning environment that facilitates learning. It is an environment that encourages people to be active. Okay? People to be active. Hindi sila passive, but they are proactive. They can do what they want provided na nag-grant sila ng permission ng teacher nila, which promotes and facilitates the individual's discovery of the personal meaning of idea. It's a constructivist classroom environment. And then, it is an environment that emphasizes the unique, personal, and subjective nature of learning in which difference is good and desirable. Okay? Maganda yun, no? Naalala ko yung sinasabi ng teacher ko about a Montessori classroom environment. Okay? In a Montessori approach of learning, sa preschool, pagpasok ng bata, walang walang chairs. Walang typical chairs na naka-arrange na gano'n. May free space sa gitna. And then may mga musical instruments o kung ano mang toys na nasa gilid. Pag pagbasok ng bata, hindi magtuturo si teacher. Hahayaan niya yung bata na mamili kung anong gusto niyang gawin for the day. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin lang nun na the teacher recognizes that the learners are different from each other. They have unique learning styles, they have unique learning interests, and the learning environment should allow them to foster and to nurture those differences of their learning styles and learning interests. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi natin about a facilitative learning environment. In a high school or elementary setup, yun nga yung sinasabi na you should give them a certain degree of choice, a certain degree of freedom. Say, magpa-activity ka ngayon, pero dapat may options ka kung ano yung mga activity. Tapos sila ang mamimili kung anong gusto nilang gawin. Okay? Gusto mo magpa-slogan, magpa-poster making, magpa-roleplay, pero sila ang mamimili kung saan doon ang gagawin nila. That is one way for us to recognize that our learners are unique and they have personal and subjective nature of learning. One size does not fit all. Yun nga, I hate teachers. Hindi naman. Pero ako yung teacher na hindi nag-check ng notes. Okay? Bakit? Kasi when I was in college and high school, I don't even take notes. Okay? Nagtitake yung notebook ko siguro for the entire semester. Mga 10 pages lang ang magagamit ko. Kasi hindi ko kokopyahin lahat ng sinusulat ni teacher. I will just take down notes kung ano yung mga bahalaga at yung matatandaan ko. Kasi that's how I learn. Okay, that's how I learn. Pero yung mga teachers kasi ang gusto nila, kung ano yung nakasulat sa blackboard, yun dapat yung nakasulat dun sa notebook mo. I hate that. Okay, I hate that. Kaya na nagturo ako ng high school, ng college, I should say. I don't check notes. Okay, I don't check notes. Minsan lang kasi inire-require kami ng office na mag-check ng notes. Pero I'm not strict about anong dapat nandun sa notebook mo, anong dapat nandyan. Kasi nga, may mga differences tayo, okay? And I recognize that inside my classroom. Another is sa seating arrangement. O kung nasa klase nyo or nasa klase ko kayo, kung nasa klase ko kayo, for example, nung pag-college, I really don't mandate or oblige them to sit wherever they to sit sa strict place. Kumbaga alphabetically arranged, dapat nandiyan ka. No, I don't do that. Pasok ka, bahala kung saan mo gustong umupo. Kung ayaw mo umupo, sumalampak ka dyan sa floor, okay lang. Kung gusto mo tumayo, sige, tumayo ka. Okay? Kasi nga, pagkaiba sila. Kasi nung ako din ay college, kung saan din ako umuupo. Kung gusto ko sa harap, one time, sige. Kung hindi ko feel, doon ako sa likod. Okay? Minsan pag naglalab kami, yung ibang classmates ko nakaupo ako, nakatayo. Okay? Or palakad-lakad ako. Na-allow naman ako ng teacher ko. Mga ganung bagay. So, I guess that's what I was when I was in college. And now that I am teaching, I do whatever they want. Okay? I allow them to do things guided pa rin. Pero kung destructive na yung ginagawa nila, I call their attention. Okay? Pero kung hindi naman, bahala ka sa buhay. Okay? Mga ganun. Kasi nga magkakaiba. Magkakaiba. Pero that does not mean na wala ka ng rules sa klase. Meron pa rin. It's important that you have rules. Okay? Ginagawa ko man yun, pero pag ginagawa nila yun, dapat merong silang rules and policies na iniisip na bawal itong ganito pa rin ang ginagawa nila. Okay? Alright. So, there are certain keys to effective management. Okay, what are certain factors that we need to consider for keys to effective management? Now, despite the fact that you are recognizing their individuality and their identity as a learner, one, you have to devise comprehensive systems. May sistema pa rin sa loob ng classroom. Okay, may sistema pa rin sa loob ng classroom. Although you're allowing them to sit wherever they want. Okay, kung mga ganun, dapat nakaupo siya, hindi siya nakatayo. Okay, depende sa picture na yan, kung paanong sistema ang gagawin mo. I'm not saying na dapat gawin niyo yung ginagawa ko. Kung ikaw yung teacher na gusto mo alphabetically, go. That's your style. Okay, that's your style. I will not stop you from doing that because that's your teaching style. That's your philosophy of teaching. And we, as much as our learners are different, the teachers are as well different from each other. So go if that's what you want. That's your system, go. But you have to be consistent with that system. Okay? Yun yung number 2. Consistently reinforcing well-practiced routines and procedures. Kasi kung hindi ka consistent, hindi guided yung mga estudyante mo. Halimbawa, nagalit ka ngayon sa ginawa nila. The next time na ginawa nila, hindi ka na nagalit. That's inconsistent. And you have to avoid doing that. Okay, you have to always be consistent about your classroom rules and policies. Okay, yung routine mo, for example, sa classroom. Ang routine, kunwari, sa una, pag andun ka na, dapat tumayo na sila. Then, start ng prayer. Pagkatapos ng prayer, good morning, ma'am. Down, sit down. That's the routine. Okay? Pagkatapos ng klase, tatayo pa din. Closing prayer. Pagkatapos, goodbye, ma'am. Sit down. That's the routine. And you have to be consistent about that. If you started with that kind of practice, you have to end with that practice at the end of the school year. Consistency is the key. Kasi kung hindi ka consistent, yun yung bata, ay, hindi naman consistent si ma'am. Ayaw mo na. Okay? Nagpa-quiz. Sasabihin niya, magpapa-quiz siya ng Friday, tapos hindi naman pala natupad. O, wala, hindi na review. Hindi na mag-review yung bata the next time magpa-quiz ka kasi nga, hindi naman papakwiz naman, hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi niya. Mga ganun bagay. Consistency is the key. Okay? Number 3, packing our professional bags full of positive and respectful preventive strategies and reactive interventions. Okay? And number 4, the way in which we present and conduct our lessons. Okay? Very important ito. The way we present and conduct our lessons. It should be organized. Hindi yung magulo. Hindi yung all over the place yung lesson mo. It should not be. Okay? It should not be. Let's talk about this, no? Yung the way in which we present and conduct our lessons. Now, effective teaching, ladies and gentlemen, and effective classroom management, okay? Lumalabas to sa left, ha? Dapat alam nyo to, okay? Is established through the mastery of the following 5 areas. Ano tong 5 areas na to? Para masabi natin na effective yung classroom management mo. 1, with itness. With itness, okay? Ang pronunciation nito is with itness. 2, overlapping. 3, movement management. 4, smoothness. And the 5th one is group focus. Let's talk about this, no? Ano tong 5 ito? Now, with fitness, ladies and gentlemen, nakikita niyo yung picture sa baba? Yung may mata sa likod. Parang ganun yun, okay? Pag sinabi natin with fitness, the teacher should be aware of what is happening in the classroom at all times. She needs to have eyes in the back of the head. Ang ibig sabihin nito, may consciousness ka, may awareness ka sa classroom mo kahit hindi mo nakikita yung mga estudyante mo. Okay? With itness. You are within the moment. You are within the classroom. Na kahit nasaan ka, nakatalikod ka man sa mga estudyante mo kasi nagsusulat ka, alam mo pa rin kung anong ginagawa nila. You can still feel kung ano yung ginagawa nila sa classroom. Okay? Witness is also the quality na yung mga learner mo, ang feeling nila, kahit ikaw ay nakatalikod, alam mo yung ginagawa nila. And they will feel about, kahit nakatalikod si ma'am, I should be composed. Okay? Dapat na-compose ko yung sarili ko, hindi ako mag-misbehave. Kasi alam ni ma'am kung anong ginagawa ko, kahit siya ay nakatalikod. Okay? Yun yung sinasabi natin with itness. Okay? You have eyes in the back. Okay? Mahalaga yun na meron ka sa picture. You have to have consciousness. You have to have awareness. May control ka sa buong classroom. Okay? Overlapping. Ang overlapping naman is pertaining to the ability of the teacher to do many things at the same time. Kapartner ito ng witness. Okay? Kapartner ito ng witness. Okay? In the mind of Kunin, who developed this effective teaching management, no? They work hand in hand with witness to produce a powerful effect. One without the other reduces the teacher's effectiveness. You could always observe this from your teachers. Kunwari, nakaupo sila, tapos nagre-record siya. Nagre-record. Tapos nakita niya yung bata na may ginagawa sa likod. Boy, sa tabak, what are you doing? That's a manifestation of overlapping. Nagre-record siya, pero at the same time, minamanage yung discipline niyo. Okay? May witness doon kasi kahit nagre-record siya, alam niya kung anong ginagawa niya sa likod. Okay? Vividness and overlapping is two qualities of a teacher para sa effective teaching and classroom management. Or, yun nga, yung nagsusulat ka sa blackboard, tapos, na-feel mo na something's going on dun sa likod. Oh, lagi na lang voice at the back, di ba? Favorite line ng mga teachers yan, yung voice at the back. O, bakit kaya laging voice at the back? Okay? Mga ganun bagay. Okay? It's overlapping, multitasking. You're assigned with a task, but at the same time, you can do another task while doing that. Multitasking. Okay? Kasi kung di ka marunong mag-multitask, naku, mahirapan ka sa teacher. I tell you, dapat marunong kong mag-multitasking pag teacher ka. Hindi lang sa classroom, pero sa work mo pa rin. May pinagawa sa principal. Okay, dapat yan yan. Okay? Okay. So that is overlapping, no? Multitasking. Okay, you should know that. Lumalabas to sa net, ha? Dapat alam na alam nyo to. Okay? Now, movement management. Ano naman ang movement management? Movement management refers to the pace of the lesson. The momentum should be consistent, monitored, and adjusted in order to prevent slowdowns and stoppages. The pace of the lesson should be modulated so that it keeps the attention of the students. Pag masyadong mabilis, huwag din masyadong mabagal. Dapat modulated lang. Sa college, hindi ito masyadong pinapractice kasi yung teachers natin sa college medyo ano gusto niyo gawin sa classroom, yun na yun eh. Sa earning unit, sa master class, ganun din. Okay? Mabilis na siya. Mabilis siya magsalita katulad ko. Okay? Dapat adjusted din yung bata. Okay? Aware yung bata, aware yung mga estudyante kung paano mag-adjust. Okay? Minsan, it is the learner who adjusts with the teacher in college learning, in higher education, not the other way around. But in basic education, that should be the case. The teacher should always know the pacing. Kung masyado na mabilis, dapat bumagal siyang konti. Okay? That is what we mean by movement management. Okay? So it refers to the pace of the lesson. Alam mo kung kailan ka hihinto, alam mo kung kailan ka din magko-continue. Kumbaga, kunwari, napansin mo na disengage na yung bata, hindi na siya nakikinig. Stop right there. And then you insert another activity. O, pagka nagbigay na yung interest yung bata, go on for, mag-continue ka na. Okay? That's movement management. And then we have smoothness. Smoothness refers to the teacher's ability to keep the classroom running in an organized fashion. So teaching a lesson while maintaining the students' focus, transitioning from one subject to the next without losing the students or having a lot of distraction. So orchestrating the events, procedures, and movement traffic patterns are factors in the development of a well-managed classroom. It is important to avoid flip-flops and dangles. Ang smoothness, guys, yung walang masyadong distraction. Walang masyadong interruption habang ikaw ay nagkaklase. Smoothness ang tawag ito. Okay? May mga factors or may mga qualities si teacher na meron tayong sinasabing meron tayong tinatawag na how do you call this? Situations where when teachers becomes distracted while teaching. Okay? We have to avoid those things. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin kung ano yung mga yun. Ito. What should we avoid in order for us to have a proficient classroom management? Okay? So, smoothness is avoiding disruptions. A group focus naman, on the other hand, is the ability to keep all students actively participating in a lesson. So, teachers can do this by having class discussion, calling on students unannounced, and asking questions, just to name a few. More questions will be provided in this web page. Pinagkuhanan ko ng references natin. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin group focus, it's your ability to concentrate or to converge the focus of the students towards you as their teacher. Maraming mga strategies kung paano gawin yan. First is that you have to be a master of your subject matter. Kung alam mo yung sinasabi mo, nakafocus yung bata sa'yo. Kung dire-diretso ka, kung smooth ka, nakafocus yung bata sa'yo. Pero kung ang daming disruptions, like, let me check this on the book muna. That disrupts the focus. Okay? I forget what I said. I forgot the lesson. Huh? Oh, mga ganung bagay. I forgot the lesson. Oh, mga ganun. Okay? Dapat nakafocus ka. Dapat smooth yung discussion mo. You should know the subject matter. You should know what to do during the lesson. Kung alam mo kung kailan ka mag-i-stop para sa activity mo, kailan ka na mag-continue. Okay? Another is, calling on students unannounced. Kasi nga, ang bata, pag alam niya, ay, magko-call si teacher, mag-recitation kami. Ano yan, magfo-focus yan. Kasi nga, hindi niya alam kung sino ang tatawagin mo. Any chance, yung mga estudyante natin, yung mga learners natin, hindi nila alam kung sino sa kanila ang tatawagin. So, any of them could be called. So, the tendency is, yung mga learners, they will focus on the lesson kasi baka matawag ako. Okay, baka matawag ako. Okay? So, yun yung mga strategies kung paano natin ma-focus yung mga bata sa ating lesson. Now, proficient classroom management avoids. Ano ang dapat nating iwasan pag tayo ay nagtuturo? Dangling. Ano yung dangling? Okay? Lumalabas ito sa licensure exam. You have to take note of these things. Okay? Dangle occurs or dangling occurs when a teacher leaves a topic without, ano yun? Ando sa banyo. Okay? Dangling occurs when a teacher, okay, leaves a topic without finalizing it. Pag sinabing dangling kasi, nakahang ka. Okay? Hang sa Ilocos, Tagalog na. Nakasabit. Iniwan ka sa ere, parang gano'n. Iniwan ka sa ere ng teacher. Dangling ang tawag doon. Kuwari, lesson nyo ngayon. Tapos bigla na lang siya nag-end. Ano ibig sabihin? Anong point ng sinasabi niya? Mga gano'n. That's dangling. Okay? So dangling occurs may batya dyan. Okay? So dangling occurs when a teacher leaves a topic without having finalized it. It provides a summation or otherwise drawn the lesson to a full conclusion. So if a lesson is important enough to teach, it is important enough to finish it. Okay, dapat may concluding statement ka. Kung hindi mo tinapos na kung may iwan sa ere yung bata. Okay, ano yung sinabi niyo? Ano yung essence? Anong essence yung sinasabi niyo? Okay, to avoid dangles, teachers work on proficient planning and the timeliness of their lesson presentation. Pero meron din tayong positive dangling. Okay, meron din tayong positive dangling. Ano yung positive dangling na sinasabi natin? Ito yung parang dangling effect na ibig sabihin nito, hindi mo tinapos yung lesson for a reason. Okay, for a reason. So sabihin mo sa bata na you would tell them na meron kang triggering trigger effect kasi sa umpisa eh. Pero pagka dangling effect sa huli, may lesson ka kunwari about chemical reaction. Okay, may chemical reaction kang lesson. Now, ang next lesson mo will be ang unang lesson mo kunwari yung combination reaction. Tapos yung next lesson mo is the combination or tawag dito analysis reaction, breaking down. Okay? Ang pinagawa mo sa huli ay nag-experiment ka pero hindi mo in-explain kung ano yung experiment na yun. They would explore or they would think about the relationship of that experiment to the next lesson that you will have. That's a positive dangling. Okay? Positive dangling. Or mag-end ka sa isang story, mag-end ka sa isang narrative about the present lesson and then you end with that. What is the relationship of that to the present lesson? Para mabigyan sila pa rin ng maiwanan sila kung ano nga ba yung lesson mo. Maiwanan sila ng application nung lesson. Okay? That's positive dangling. Pero yung dangling na negative, yun yung hindi mo tinapos yung lesson mo. Hindi ka nag-conclude dun sa sinasabi mo. Okay? Pangalawa, ano pang i-avoid natin for effective management? Flip-flopping. Ano ang flip-flopping? Flip-flop, it's parang dangle, pero magkaiba. Okay? Flip-flop, it occurs when a teacher is teaching a lesson on one topic, but then inserts an unrelated material. Flip-flopping yun. Flip-flop. Andito ka ngayon, mamaya, nasa kapila ka. Okay? For example, ang lesson mo about the solar system. Okay, class? The largest planet in the solar system is Jupiter. Okay? Or, okay, ang topic mo dance, for example. Ang topic mo is dance. Dance sports. Cha-cha-cha. Tapos insert mo yung hometown cha-cha-cha. Well, how is that related to your lesson? Okay? Or, you're teaching English, and then suddenly you thought about science. You thought about Filipino. Mga ganun bagay. So, yung unrelatedness ng material from a previous lesson, ang tawag natin doon is flip-flopping. Bakit dapat natin itong i-avoid? Because this act destroys student concentration. Okay? Kasi nga mamaya, andun sila sa lesson mo about chat-chat-chat. Tapos mamaya, hometown chat-chat-chat. Iba na yung pag-uusapan nila. Magchichismisan na yun about ano yung hometown chat-chat-chat. Maganda yun. Kakakilig yun, mga ganun bagay. Okay? So once a lesson has been concluded and another one began, avoid reminiscing back to the previous material. Except kung kailangan i-relate mo ito doon sa previous material. Kung hindi kinakailangan, wag. The teacher should avoid leaving a topic on which the students are focused in order to introduce unrelated material. So flip-flopping. Iba ang dangling sa flip-flopping. Ang dangling iniiwan sa ere. Ang flip-flopping, nagbabago ng lesson, nag-i-insert ng bagong lesson or unrelated lesson dun sa present lesson nila. Okay? Okay? Trusting occurs when teachers fail to give clear, well-worded directions when group attention was upon them. Yung nahihirapan yung bata umintindi kung anong instruction ni teacher. That's a manifestation na mayroong trusting issue si teacher. Okay? So non-descript directives result in student confusion, complaints, multiple questions as to what to do, conversations with other students, refusals to work, and so forth. Kasi kung di naintindihan ng bata yan, ano ulit yung sinabi ni ma'am? O di, it will open conversation. Ayaw mo mangyari. Okay? So dapat yung instructions mo clear at all times to avoid trust. Okay? Teachers then find themselves answering the same question multiple times, having to address misbehavior and pulling students who did comprehend off task. A very good example of this is, bring out a sheet of paper. Ma'am, 1/4, ma'am. Dapat clear data. Dapat lahat. Bring out 1/4 sheet of paper. Okay, pero may mga bata pa rin na sasabihin na kahit sinabi mo na bring out 1/4 sheet of paper. Sir, ma'am, 1/4 po. Sir, 1/4 po. Hindi mo na problema yun. Isa pa yung instructions mo sa true or false. Okay? Match column A to column B. Kung yun lang ang instructions mo, mali. That's trust. Bakit? How will they match column A to column B? Should they draw a line from column A to column B, or should they write the letter from column B to column A? Diba? You have to be very specific about your instructions. And then becoming stimulus bound. Ito naman yung paborito ko. Okay? Paborito ko itong error ni teacher. Teachers who allow themselves to be distracted by outside stimuli. So move the class attention to that distraction. The students are now off task, have trouble re-engaging in the task, and engage in misbehavior. Okay, ano ito? Yung mga teachers na nadidistract, yung chismosa na teacher. I remember when I was in elementary, grade 4, Kalakasan ng Endless Love to. Yung Korean novela ni Jenny at saka ni pangalan yung lalaki. Yung Endless Love. Jenny and ano pangalan? Johnny? Oo, sa Endless Love. Yun. Grade 4 ako noon eh. Kalakasan, lahat ng teachers, lahat ng estudyante, pati parents, yun ang pinag-uusapan, anong nangyari kahapon. One day, may lesson kami. Tapos itong teacher namin ng grade 4, nakita niya lang yung co-teacher niya. Lumabas bigla. And then I was hearing, overhear ko lang, pinag-uusapan nila, endless love. Oh, that's an example, outside stimuli. Okay? And that is stimulus bound. Lagi na lang na distract si teacher sa outside stimulus. Pag nakikita niyo yung mga co-teachers niya sa corridor, lalabas na yan. Ay, kumusta? Chismosa. Okay? hawak-hawak ng Avon, o kaya Natasha, ganun. Antoyo, Natasha, tingnan ko na orderan ko. Mga ganun bagay, outside stimuli. Okay, avoid that. Kasi nga, pag ganun na nangyayari, nawawala dun sa focus yung bata. Kaya hindi natin maiwasan na pag umaalis si teacher sa classroom dahil na-distract nga siya, yung bata, yung mga estudyante, ay automatic yan, ingay ang maririnig mo. Chismisan doon, chismisan dyan. Nung ulam mo, nung recess mo mamaya. Ganun bagay. Okay, si teacher magagalit. Shh! Okay! Salamat mo naman kung bakit magulo yung bata eh. Okay? Mga ganun. Okay, so outside stimuli. So teachers also become bound up in their own focus when they draw student attention away from the lesson to make spontaneous announcements. Okay? So iwasan natin yan. So those are what we have to avoid when we are thinking about proficient classroom management. Dangling, zip-zapping, trust, and becoming stimulus bound. Okay? So dapat naintindihan nyo itong lesson na to kasi mga na lumalabas ito sa licensure exam. Okay? Lumalabas yung lessons na to sa licensure exam. Alright? So that ends our lesson on the learning environment. Alright? So any question from the group?